Hello and welcome to another video on Astroneer. I am Ducky O'Brien. I just wanted to do something a little different today, and I'm also testing out a new mic. Hopefully it sounds good. If not, I'll switch back to the old one. I recently walked across space from Desolo to Sylva. It took me a long while and took a lot of tries, ran into a lot of problems, got a lot of help from the kind and awesome people who are watching me on Twitch. And I just wanted to show the whole thing once again with no cuts, no edits, and just add some commentary on top of it to show everyone what I learned. Here I landed Desolo, and I brought a tractor with because I have no tethers on the bottom. As you can tell, I wanted to make a very efficient land bridge and kind of not use too many tethers, and I was going to screw myself over if I didn't have oxygen on the way, so I brought a tractor conveniently on my shuttle. I wanted to save as much space as possible, and I also luckily had extra resin, which I was going to use to craft another oxygen filter if I was running out, but instead I need to use it to make a canister to kind of level the ramp a little bit. Luckily I had that there. And then, as you can see, I'm driving my merry way up the land bridge. This is pretty much it. I just keep driving. So how we made this is me and my buddy Haha, we took turns. We started at a base point. We each had the wide mod, the boost mod, and a diamond drill 3. And a whole bunch of canisters and tethers, and we would just ramp up here. We built a straight ramp for this one though. Sylva, real Sylva, was directly above the point, so I had to keep kind of doing a spiral pattern. That was kind of a mistake. If I had to do it again, I would pick a landing zone a bit further away and just angle the ramp and just build a straight one. Now for people who don't know, the Sylva that you see orbiting space is not the real Sylva. It's actually just the holographic. I landed on it before. I wouldn't say I landed, I've touched it. You can kind of peek through it. You can see that it's empty. It's way smaller than the actual Sylva. The actual Sylva is invisible and the planets don't move. However, you can locate them in space with the beacons that you placed on it. So if you recognize the beacon pattern, you can kind of spot it in space. And I spotted that here right above Desolo, and I built this ramp here. And you can jump off of it and kind of float across space towards it. Here is where there's no gravity anymore. It's kind of weird. Gravity doesn't affect items, but the player character still has gravity. And as you can see here, the soil changes color from gray to this nice golden color. And I've noticed that it's different for each planet. I believe it's the same color as the core. So for Sylva, you get this nice blue pattern color. For Desolo, you get this golden color. And here I'm just running as fast as I can so I don't waste my oxygen filters, and hopefully reach the point where I have tethers set up. And there it is. It's just a large platform B with an oxygenator and an RTG, so I can power my train manipulator as I was making this bridge. And so how we did it was, again, we just build a bridge like normal. We use the flatten once we find an angle, and then we drop a landing pad every so often so we can drop a shuttle in and refresh our supplies, get new canisters, get new tethers. We'll take the old ones, and then I would drive them back to the surface, fill them up, and then bring them up for a Haha to make the bridge. This one I built on my own. The first one we built together. I built another one on Sylva as well. The Sylva bridge didn't work quite as well, so I kind of abandoned that one. But this one finally made it across. I'm going to show you how in a second. Another interesting interesting thing I've noticed was that after a certain point, you can't place tethers anymore. I don't know why. You can't build your land bridge either, but the point at which you can't place your tethers down anymore is shorter. And what happens is when you place a tether down, it just disappears from your inventory. However, what you can do is place your tethers before that point, and it'll spawn, and you can just carry it past that point and continue building your tether line, which is what I did here. But at a certain point, you do reach a point where you can no longer build a land bridge from Sylva or Desolo. I'm guessing it's like in a radius around the center of the planet. I'm not quite sure how it works. So a lot of funny moments where we accidentally knocked off items while we're building the bridge and it went spiraling off into space. It's kind of weird, but you can't unpack a tractor or a rover where there's no grav. It will kind of go crazy and then just float off into space. I don't know why. I think it's one of the only items that if you unpack here, that it will not just sit there in space. Alright, this took many tries, but I finally got it. One other thing, here, we're reaching that point where we can't build tethers anymore. This was weird. It didn't happen on my first land bridge, but on the second one, after a certain point, the angle changes. It's very disconcerting. It's hard to control too. You have to angle your camera, and whichever way you are facing, that's forward. So it's kind of hard to walk here. That extra tether I put in to show the tether line. You can't build tethers past that point. But here, yeah, I had to carry each and every tether out. This was pretty hard. And here you can see if you bump into any object, it will just float away. Okay, here we go. I believe the angle changes because after a certain point, I think there's like simulated gravity towards a planetary body. So I probably shifted away from Desolo to, I think Sylva, which is why I think it kind of shifted a little bit. Right here, we're coming up to the end of the land bridge. You physically can't build past a certain point. So at that point, you got no choice but to jump. And the interesting thing is, you don't fall back down to Desolo anymore. You fall upwards into Sylva. Again, I have no idea how any of this works. I can only make guesses here at this point. What I did here was at the end of the bridge, I tried building upwards towards where Sylva was in the sky, but it was not working, so I gave up. I just ended it here. That Sylva that you see is fake. It's kind of interesting. It's very smart. They don't have to render the entire planet moving, which would be difficult. Instead, they have these models, which won't take up much space in memory. I guess won't use much CPU power either. And it's part of the graphical user interface that you interact with to choose where to go. I think this game is incredibly designed once you kind of see how it works. In here, I got a bunch of oxygen filters as well as the rover seat. The rover seat is used to cross a barrier of some sort, which you'll see soon. Here, you just float for a long while towards Sylva, and as you can see here, you can see the beacons, but the planet itself is invisible. In fact, when you land on it, the planet textures aren't loaded. However, you can see the resources. I'm pretty sure if you've watched other videos like this one, you've seen people use rovers and land and see that the resources are there, but everything else is invisible, which is quite dangerous. There's a lot of holes on these darn planets, and you can fall in very easily. In fact, I do land here, but this time I died. Last time I survived because I loaded my game while I was stuck at the barrier so I could see the planet, and then I kind of angled my descent into a slope and I survived. Whereas here I just landed smack into the face of the planet next to a hole. So even if I had survived, I would have fallen and died because I couldn't see anything. But here we go. Slowly making our way. The orange beacon there is the beacon that I placed at the barrier. So here we're falling upwards, quote unquote, into Sylva, and at a certain point it'll make a 180 and the character will start falling with the feet down. And then after a certain point it will kind of load into this frozen state at a barrier. I believe it's because they fixed you being able to go to other planets in rover seats. I'm not quite sure, but once you hit the barrier you cannot move at all, and it seems like most objects can't penetrate that barrier. Alright, that purple beacon is the base of my Sylva land bridge, and then the shuttle there is the shuttle I placed on my, I think, a section of my Sylva land bridge. Sylva's kind of a little finicky for some reason. After I built the bridge, when you try to jump off of it, you get stuck on it, and you can't move. And you have to reload the game. But even if you reload the game, you're still stuck at that state, so you have to die. It's kind of weird. I think they have some kind of barrier on the Sylva side, and then like a dead zone where nothing can pass. I don't know why that is. Desolo didn't have it. I'm not quite sure. Quite sure how it works. My guess is there's some kind of a barrier around Sylva, and the barrier is a dead zone. I don't know why. And here we flipped. We made a 180. We're falling feet first. I'm aiming myself towards the beacon. It's kind of hilarious because I tried this many times, and that is the area that I die in because I couldn't figure out how to get through. So I have some oxygen filters lying around from my previous attempts, which turned out to be useful. I took them on this run and last run as well. I think the space here looks quite lovely. Simple. Something about it is quite appealing though. And here again we switched. We've struck the barrier, and no matter what you do, you can't really move. I tried many things here. The rover seat seems to be the only thing that works. So it's just simple. It's time consuming but simple. Just simply unpack the rover seat and then maneuver it beneath you, underneath you, and just get in. And here my game freezes every time I save for about a couple seconds. It's very annoying. I don't know why it happens. I wish it didn't. But what can you do? Have a potato PC. Alright, so here we just chain this over and over again, and I'm aiming myself directly towards where I'm fake falling. again through this dead zone. Usually when I make my other like stream highlight videos, I usually edit this save part out so it doesn't look like the video froze, but for this video I left it in. I didn't want to make any edits whatsoever. Just wanted to show the whole thing. This took many attempts. I don't usually watch other people or read on Reddit or anything else on previous attempts. I want to figure out everything on my own. It's more exciting that way. Exciting and not knowing. Exciting failing over and over again. I feel like you learn more in the long run. Not necessarily about the game, but more about how to solve a problem. If you have a problem and you just look for the solution from someone else right away, you didn't really solve that problem. You're just copying someone else's solution. I did have a lot of help, by the way. A lot of people helped me through this, gave me a lot of ideas. I believe it was a lunatic gave me the idea to use the rover seed, and this is the only thing that worked that I found so far. Maybe there's other methods. I have no idea what they would be though. I did try using a winch. Winch is my favorite item. I can say that the winch does not work. At least the ways they tried it. Alright. Yeah, the freezing when it saves every time, it does annoy me a little bit. I should probably look into how to fix that if it's possible at all. Even though I call my PC a potato, I'm grateful for it because I can play these games, albeit not on optimal settings. I can still play it and stream at the same time. So I am grateful. I can edit these videos as well. So here I would usually reload the game so I could see the planet loaded in as well as my land bridge, because originally I tried to aim for the land bridge. You can usually survive a fall if you land on a sloped surface because it'll just slide you down, but without loading it I just wanted to show everyone that what it looks like. The invisible planet with the resources. Unfortunately, I die on this run, but I do touch the planet. More like smashing into the planet. Yeah, I think this game is fantastic the way that it's made. The more that you try to break things and explore the mechanics, the more impressed you are at how they designed this. I think it's mind-blowing. The game is brilliant. I highly recommend it. Just an interesting side note. So I've been using a Logitech USB stand mic. I love this microphone. If I could buy more, I would. It's a very simple mic. It cost me $20 when I bought it, I believe, maybe $30. I think it works incredibly well, and it I think it records the voice pretty accurately, but I'm using a Blue Yeti blackout that I got in clearance, and my voice sounds differently, so I'm always a little worried because I don't know why. I don't like the sound of my own voice, but others have told me that they like it, and they keep saying that I should do ASMR. I was like, maybe. I have no idea how to do it, but I was listening back, and it sounds quite different. I might try to put like a low pass filter on it. It does kind of bring it back to what the Logitech mic sounds like. And I'm always worried. What if people don't like it? Maybe I'm being a little too insecure here. But kind of interesting. Also kind of a pain. You have to configure all of these devices to kind of get the result that you want. You can't really use them as is. Makes sense. Part of life. Always have a fear of trying new things, but I gotta get my hands dirty and just try on everything. It's like a shark. If you don't swim, you'll die. I don't know if that's true or not. I've been playing a lot of Raft recently, so I'm thinking about sharks a lot. This is Steam Summer Sale when this video was made. Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the developers. Just looking at the summer update, if you look at the details of the objects, you can tell there's a lot of incredible care and craft put into it. I've been starting to notice that more because I like watching movies a lot. I also do a movie podcast, and my friend Barry always points out how well crafted things are. And here, I've gotten past the barrier, and I'm crashing towards the planet. There's my land bridge, which isn't rendered. My shuttle and landing pad up there. I'm aiming myself towards the purple beacon, which is the base of my Sylva sky bridge. So I'm hoping that here, I can kind of catch a piece of the land bridge. And I missed all of it. And here we are. As you can see, the planet is invisible. There it is. You can see the objects. And I died next to a giant hole. Alright. So here, the respawn mechanic, I'm not quite sure how it works, because when you die, you're supposed to reload at the shuttle that you came out of. However, the shuttle was on Desolo, and here I respawned from the shelter of Sylva. So I found that kind of interesting. Here I'm taking the shuttle back to the purple beacon, the base of the Sylva land bridge, to kind of show where I died, that I did indeed touch down. Also, another thing I learned, I didn't really look into the settings, but apparently there's a setting for clouds. You can pick experimental, and they look lovely. I like the clouds as is. There's like a simple cartoony look to it that I really enjoy. But however, if you turn experimental, it kind of makes it super realistic a little bit compared to the rest of the world, and you can kind of see the lighting effects colored differently. I think it looks awesome. Does drop your frame rates a little bit. My frame rates are so low that it doesn't matter. Alright, here you can see that I died really close to the base on my land bridge, as well as next to a giant hole. If I had survived, I would have fallen in and died either way. Here you go. Those are my leftover items. The previous run, I aimed for the mountain to the right of me, and I survived the first time I do it. Anyways, there you have it. It is possible to walk from one planet to the other Granted that you have enough oxygen and that you have a rover seat to kind of get past the barrier. I believe all of the planets are fairly close to each other and all invisible. Believed to probably save space and performance and everything else. So it would make sense. Again, this game is brilliantly designed once you kind of break it apart a little bit or see the wheels turning. And there you have it. Many attempts later, many failures later, finally walked across space from Desolo to Sylva. It was pretty fun. I like doing things that the game doesn't tell you to do. That's why these sandbox games are amazing and great, and I think Astroneer has a lot of depth to it that a lot of people don't discover because they don't try things outside of the box, thinking outside the box and just doing things that normal people wouldn't, for I guess good reason. So I believe this is possible on all the planets. I'm not gonna try it anymore, but the next thing I'm curious about is what happens when you fully and completely destroy a planet and leave nothing but the core. So I'm slowly working on that on Desolo as well, where I am gonna destroy all the materials, all the objects, and the dirt, and leave nothing but the core on Desolo. I want to see what happens then. How does that affect the game? Is it even possible? But we shall see. It's quite a bit of work. Here, I love my base. I love my production line setup. I was kind of experimenting with the silos, and I don't like the silos. There you go. Celebratory goal. So much detail put into that thing. Rocket League Astroneer. Alright, well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed. If you got any questions or comments or things you would like to see, please leave a comment below. Thank you, and until next time.